Hello my students of class 8. Today we would be doing the supplementary text reader of your English literature, and the first chapter we would be starting. We have not done anything from the supplementary text yet. So let us begin today's lesson, How the Camel Got His Hump. Okay, be ready with a pencil and open your book. So, How the Camel Got His Hump. It promises to be a very humorous story, and it is not really a factual story but rather like a fable. Okay, something we have already done. And in this story, this is actually an abridged version, adapted version from Rudyard Kipling's classic work. The name of the story is How the Camel Got His Hump. So from the title itself we can understand that this story is going to give us an idea about how the camel got his hump. So you know what a camel is, right? It's a creature it's an animal which is mostly seen in desert areas, and they have a hump on their back. There are certain species of camel which have two humps on their back. Okay, and some have a single hump. Now that hump is actually a storage kind of, it is said that body fat is stored over there, which is very much essential for the camel because they live in the dry desert regions. That is a fact of biology. But this story is not about biology, but this story is about how the camels used to be very lazy, not doing any kind of work, and how he was punished by a jinn, a magical creature. Okay, and because of that punishment, a curse was given and a hump grew up. This is the story, but it's a very funny story, and do not try to point out any logical errors in the story. Just enjoy it as it is a humorous fable. Okay, now let us begin the story. How the Camel Got His Hump. The world had just begun, and the animals were working for humans. There was one lazy animal that did nothing and said nothing but Even the clever jinn was at his wit's end. Okay, that means he didn't know what to do. This is the 3 points which are given. They are key points. They just refer to what we will get in the passage. Okay. In the beginning, when the world was new and the animals were just beginning to work for man, there was a camel, and he lived in the middle of a howling desert because he did not want to work. He ate sticks and thorns and prickles, and when anybody spoke to him, he said hump, just hump, and nothing more and no more. So try to get the idea. This is the beginning of time, as the author says, when man was just being used. That means man was just discovering new animals, and he was making the animals work for him. Okay, and the animals were just starting to work for man, to fetch for him, to do labor for him. At that time there lived a creature, that is a camel, and he lived in the middle of a howling desert where nobody used to live in that place, and he would live over there. He would do no work at all. Okay, and he would just eat sticks and thorns. That means all dried up vegetation, those kind of things he will eat. He will not do anything, and he will not speak to anybody. And if anybody spoke to him, the only thing that they could get in reply was a or hump, like that kind of sound he would make. That means he did not speak also with anybody. He was so lazy. Presently, the horse came to him on Monday morning. So one day, the horse came with a saddle on his back and said, so the horse had already got a saddle on his back. That means the horse was already domesticated by humans to work for them. And the horse came to him and said, Camel, oh camel, come out and trot like the rest of us. That is, come out and trot. Trot is a something like jogging, you can say. The horses, their movement is sometimes called a trot. It's not fast paced, it's kind of medium paced walking, a bit faster than walking. Means something that, a word which we associate with the movement of a horse. Okay. So the horse used to trot, and so he was telling the camel, why don't you walk, or why don't you trot like we do? Why don't you come out and do it like that? Come out and trot like the rest of us. That is, get up and start running or start walking. Don't sit idle. Hump, said the camel, and the horse went away and told man. Presently, the dog came to him with a stick in his mouth and said, Camel, oh camel, come and fetch and carry like the rest of us. That is, like we dogs do, we come, we fetch, we carry, or the other animals who are domesticated by man for their use, for their own needs. We do a lot of work for man, we do a lot of labor for man. Why don't you come and do the same thing? Hump, said the camel. And the dog went away and told the man. Okay. Presently, the ox came to him with the yoke on his neck and said, Camel, oh camel, come and plow like the rest of us. So we got 3 different creatures, and these 3 different animals are utilized by the man in 3 different manner. Okay, the horse came first, then came the dog, and then came the ox with the yoke on his neck, that wooden pole which is given on top of the ox to plow. Okay, you must know about yoke. You have seen previously it was more used. Nowadays we have tractors for doing the plowing work, but on previous days, that means previously, or maybe in many rural areas even now, the animals have to do a lot of hard work on the field. A yoke is attached on the neck of the ox or bullocks, and they have to plow the ground. Okay, using that is like a labor which is done by the ox. And so the ox also comes to the camel and asks him to work or plow like him. The 3 different creatures came, and all 3 of them were treated in the same manner by the camel. That is, he just dismissed them by saying, Hum. And then the ox also went away. At the end of the day, the man called the horse and the dog and the ox together and said, 3, oh 3, I'm very sorry for you. That is, all 3 of you are here, and I'm very sorry for the 3 of you. But that hump thing in the desert can't work. I think he can't work. Or he would have been here by now. If he could have worked, he would have joined you guys and he would have been here by now. Okay. So it must be that he cannot work. So I'm going to leave him alone, and you must work double time to make up for it. So you have to make up for his lack of energy for working. That is, because of his idleness, these 3 poor animals had to work more. So obviously they became very angry and upset. That made the 3 very angry, and they held a panchayat on the edge of the desert. And the camel came chewing cud and laughed at them. Then he said, Hum, and went away again. Chewing cud, you know, some animals, they digested matter from their stomach comes back to their mouth once again, and they chew it once again. So that is the cud. Okay. So the camel was just chewing cud, and he was just watching how the 3 of them were suffering, and he just replied in his usual manner. He said, he gave the usual response to them and then went away. Presently, there came along the jinn who was in charge of all deserts, rolling in a cloud of dust. So then came the magical creature, the jinn. Okay, he came and he came in front of the 3 animals. Because the jinn was in charge of the entire desert. If there was any kind of problem there, he somehow got the information and he appeared in front of the three animals in a cloud of dust. Okay, that means a lot of dust came and he just appeared out of the desert. Jinn of all deserts, said the horse, is it right for anyone to be idle? Certainly not, said the jinn. Well, it is obviously not right for anybody to be idle, that is lazy, not doing any work. Well, there's a thing in the middle of your desert with a long neck and long legs, and he hasn't done a stroke of work since Monday morning. He won't trot, that is, he won't move at all. He has done no work since Monday morning. We have all tried to get him to work, but he did not do any kind of work. Whew, said the jinn, whistling. That's my camel. What he say about it? That is, that's my camel. That's the creature I know. That's because the jinn was in charge of the entire desert. He knew all the creatures. Okay, so he just said, that's my camel. That means that's just the animal whose name is Camel. And what does he say about it? That is, when you ask him to do some work, what does he say about it? He says, hump. And he won't plow. That is, he won't even plow. The ox said. That is, he wouldn't trot, neither will he plow. That means he will not help in any of the menial work which the three other animals had to do for humans. Very good, said the jinn. I'll hump him if you will kindly wait a minute. That is, I will look into his matter. I will see how to get him to work. I will have to do something to make him work. Okay, so if you three will kindly, if you will allow me, I will make the camel. I will treat the camel in my own way. So what do we understand from the story? Till now we understood that the camel did not work. Okay, we understood that he did not work. He was an idle creature and he only said hum. And the jinn brings in the magical element of the story. He is a magical creature who was in charge of the entire desert, as he himself came in front of the three animals and he promised them to deal with the camel in his own unique fashion. Okay, so let us stop over here. We will continue with the next session of the story in our next class. Thank you.